Dobu's arm had clearly been severed by Dorian, but when he smashed the thick cast off, what emerged from inside was a completely unharmed hand, with strong tendons and full power. It worked perfectly without any issue. That was when everyone finally realized the scariest thing in the Baki world was never the martial arts, but the medical skills that bordered on miracles. Right after the injury, Dobu immediately thought of a famous doctor he knew, and that man happened to be nearby. He rushed over with his severed hand. The doctor took one casual look, looking as relaxed as if he were treating a scratch. He said it could be reattached, but there was no anesthetic. Before the words even finished, the doctor had already started. Blood vessels, nerves, muscles, and bones were like building blocks in his hands. In just 2.5 hours, Dobu's severed hand was reattached, and his fingertips could already feel things clearly again. Excited Dobu immediately wanted to go get revenge on Dorian, but the doctor sharply stopped him and told him to rest for at least 3 weeks before fighting again. The scene shifts back to the amusement park. Dobu, his son, and Retsuko had Dorian surrounded, but what Dobu and his son did not expect was that Retsu and Dorian were actually fellow disciples, so Retsu chose not to get involved. Katsumi was about to step forward, but Dobu stopped him with a firm voice, saying this fight had to be settled by him alone. Dobu slowly took off his shirt. His sharply defined muscles were as solid as steel, and in the next second, he landed a heavy punch right into Dorian's gut. Excruciating pain shot through his body, and Dorian nearly passed out on the spot. He spat out a glass bottle from his mouth. The liquid inside instantly corroded the ground on contact. His dirty tricks kept coming. After landing that hit, Dobu moved in to press the attack, but suddenly stopped in his tracks. Dorian had started doing Tai Chi out of nowhere, with slow and soft movements, like an old man doing morning exercises in the park. Katsumi thought he was just putting on an act again, but Dobu stayed calm, picked up 2 pebbles, and tossed one at Katsumi, which Katsumi easily swatted away, then threw the other at Dorian. The pebble vanished into thin air as it got near him. Dorian grinned with a mocking look, seeing that Dobu was testing him against Katsumi, and wondered if he passed the test. Before he even finished speaking, the pebble was already ground into dust in his palm, and flung right back at Dobu's face. Dobu was caught off guard, and Dorian charged in fast, but Dobu hit him with both palms and sent him flying. What followed next became a complete one-sided beatdown by Dobu. Dorian could not fight back at all. He was just taking hit after hit, until he was crying and drooling like a child. Everyone thought it was just another one of his tricks, but no one noticed that Dobu had already fallen into a hypnotic trance. Everything he saw was a fabricated enemy. In reality, he was just punching the air. No matter how much Katsumi shouted, he got no response. Dorian thought he had one, and moved in to finish him, but Dobu suddenly raised his hand and blocked the attack, then landed a brutal kick right in Dorian's groin. Dorian screamed in agony. Everyone present was completely baffled and confused. Was Dobu not hypnotized? He clearly seemed trapped in an illusion, so how could he counter a real-world attack so precisely? The truth was that Dobu, with all his battle experience, never trusted any fight that seemed too easy. Every hair on his body remained on high alert at all times. For him, there was no boundary between illusion and reality. He directly overlapped the real Dorian with the imaginary enemy, completely transcending the mental illusion and making the hypnotism completely useless. Dorian still refused to give up. He spat out a hidden weapon, but Dobu casually deflected it. After getting beaten down multiple times, Dorian was not discouraged at all. Instead, he was both nervous and thrilled. He had heard of Dobu's legendary reputation and had always hoped to lose to a fighter of that caliber. After actually exchanging blows, he was more certain than ever that only Dobu could make him submit willingly. Even with defeat certain, he still struggled desperately and pulled out another hidden weapon. But whether it was fist techniques or dirty tricks, none of them worked against Dobu. Dobu's karate could turn his body into any weapon on earth. With every punch he threw, Dorian's ribs shattered a little more, until he was completely powerless to fight back and collapsed to the ground. But Dobu did not kill him. He left him barely breathing, clearly with other plans in mind. And at that very moment, a figure was wheeled in from the distance. It was Kato, who had been nearly beaten into a vegetative state before. The doctor chased after him frantically, shouting that the patient could not be moved, and that this was practically murder. But in the very next second, the doctor's eyes went wide. In complete disbelief, Kato slowly pushed himself up and stood. His fighting spirit surged to its peak, and an overwhelming aura swept through the entire area. When Dorian looked up and saw that, his whole body trembled, and he immediately screamed that he surrendered.